Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wrestling Sheet SmackDown recap. Don't adjust your computer screen. Well, the brightness, I guess. I guess that's not really a thing. But yes, I'm not here with John Roca, as normally he is out for the day, but I am here with my usual Wrestling Sheet radio co-host, Jamie Iovine. Welcome to the SmackDown recap, Jamie.
I like the recap set. It is nice, and I wish I had newspapers.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we have, I mean, not newspapers, just papers. I feel like we needed our notes because we're at a desk, an anchor desk.
Already with this is why I don't let Jamie on the nice set. He is relegated to the podcast room. It's just too fancy for him. You know?
Don't ask me back here again. I'll come in an outfit.
Next time you're gonna come in a full suit,
Big
ready
hair.
to go. Okay, well, last night's SmackDown was obviously an eventful SmackDown. Not only because we're on the road to WrestleMania, but just like stuff went down. Stuff really went down last night, and it. But the show kicked off with.
It seemed, but I'm sorry to cut you off. It seemed like a go home show. Did it not?
I saw someone tweet and say like, "Oh, maybe this next week's going to be all recap," and I was like, "Well, no, they're obviously not going to have that be all recap. There's still a whole week of programming.
There's a go home show.
Yeah, there's going to be a WrestleMania go home show for sure still, and yeah, it very much did. And we're going to get to the Charlotte stuff. We're going to get to the Kofi stuff. But overall, did you like the show?
It was really good. I'm trying to think if there was any downsides that I was looking at, or any parts I fast forwarded. I did fast forward I mean, if we're gonna, I'm not gonna really go into it. I'm just gonna make just the overall consensus.
Generally.
Yeah, the general consensus was I loved the whole show. The whole show had great drama from front to back. I mean, we're differing opinions on the thing, but I'm loving the Kurt Angle farewell tour. It's a nice send off for me. But I did fast forward a little bit of the Asuka Charlotte match, not because I didn't want to see it, but because I had already known what the result was.
You'd already spoiled it for yourself on Twitter.
Yeah, and as much as Charlotte having the SmackDown belt makes it a little more interesting going in, which is already, I mean, how can you make it even more interesting? It's already at its peak. But I was kind of hoping for a good spot for Asuka on the Mania card. And just being a realistic fan and seeing how the storylines go and how WrestleMania has been booked in the past, I mean, yes, it was kind of the writing was on the wall that she wasn't going to have a spot on Mania, but now she doesn't even have a belt going into Mania. So I was kind of bummed about that. I'm an Asuka fan, but just by and all, I mean, I'd give it a 8.5, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's a fair rating right there. But before we get into the deeper dive of the Asuka Charlotte conversation, let's go to the beginning of the show. Let's start off where SmackDown started off, and that's with New Day. They came out. I'm reading the.
This was my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, this was great.
The opening segment was the best. One of the better ones I've seen in quite some time.
Vince was peak Vince here.
Oh, the wah wah wah! Oh my god! I think I've watched it 150 times.
Yeah, I've watched it so many times too. But I just real fast actually before I jump in, I want to say that the recap. That I'm reading to help here is from ProWrestling.net, so I don't want it to sound like I'm like plagiarizing anyone's words or anything here. Some of the things I'm reading are from theirs. Normally Roca does the recap, so he handles that part of things. But I love ProWrestling.net, and they've got great recaps in text there. So I'm going to be reading some of their recap here. But it started off with New Day. They came out. And Big E talks about them being together for almost 5 years and how they've gone from New Day sucks to New Day rocks, and and then Woods talks about how it's been a hell of an experience. And they talk about all the obstacles being put in their way and how, Kofi's done all this stuff for 11 years, but he's being held back, and Kofi lives the power of positivity. But they've all been thinking about quitting. And so they call out Vince McMahon. And so then Vince McMahon comes out in classic Vince swagger, like he's very cocky mood. He's like almost happy to be there to like say something. And he does the thing that you love, that I loved, that everyone loved, where he's like, oh, you gonna quit? You gonna quit?
Go ahead, quit. Because I don't think that would have sounded any good if it had been anybody else. Like that raspy voice saying wah 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 was oh my god, it made me laugh so hard.
I was dying. No, I was dying. it was one of those situations where I had to stop myself from making 100 different memes out of it because I had so many funny ideas from it. I laughed every time I watched that clip.
It's in rare because it's not rare for me because he does this often, but it's always good. There's a difference between Vince when he's going out and he has to like make a statement about like a charity or a WrestleMania attendance or something. But then there is when he's having fun, which is because I mean, it's clear that he loves the New Day. He uses them for everything. And I mean, I've always thought it was interesting because sometimes it's interesting the way Vince perceives himself and how the company writes for him, and maybe he writes his stuff as well. But it's almost like he takes the rumor that he's racist and uses it. Like
that's clearly what was on display.
Yeah,
here.
he like racist Vince is an interesting character to me because back then when Vince was first a heel, like the whole Brett screwed Brett, then when the first inklings of the Mr. McMahon with Stone Cold started to come out, the whole basis was, okay, we think he keeps the guys we want down and that he screws people, so let's use that. But now it's that add on that he's a Trump guy, racist, and that's also being used. It's another variation of his heel character.
And they played it in a smart way where it's not like they've outwardly said that.
No.
It's just like, well, how else are you supposed to take the fact that he really doesn't want this black guy who's earned the shot multiple times to not be in the world title match at WrestleMania for no explained reason?
It's a great way to have your cake and eat it too. I mean, it's a great way to go out there and play a racist character without getting in trouble for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the smartest way to play something like that. You know, they've learned in the past, I think, when they did the whole Real American thing with Jack Swagger, and people kind of took it seriously. I remember when I was at TMZ, they did that video where they had to they started in character and then they stepped out of character for a second and they were like, we're playing characters. These are not. Remember that video that they did to kind of explain that they're not racist?
Yeah.
I feel like they learned their lesson from being real outward about it. And in today's culture, they know that this is something they have to tiptoe. And like you said, you know, I learned something in writing a long time ago, mainly for the site when I was writing when I first started writing in news, and it was like, I know that someone told me everyone's going to say this one thing because you wrote this, but because of that, you don't have to say it. You can play it down the middle and let everyone else react how they're going to react, but you can just play it down the middle because they're going to get what this was for. They're going to get what was saying here. And I think that's the very same thing with Vince going on here. It's like, you don't need to say, Vince, you're a racist. You just need to plant these little seeds to make it feel real.
I was a little confused. I mean, I want to know your opinion on this. I was a little confused because, and this is just my own hardware problems. Sling, for some reason, whenever it DVRs, it sometimes screws up the order in which they're listed. So I have to sometimes sift through different recordings to find the right one. And I was looking for this most recent one when I get home from work, and the intro was the New Day coming out, but doing the regular New Day entrance, and I thought this couldn't be it. Why would they be happy? You know,
they did a few things of questionable nature in that regard last night, like that, and since we won't really fully get into it, that and having Becky stand by his side later in the night when he was watching the tag team Gauntlet, I was just kind of like, why would she be doing that? She's supposed to be the man. She's supposed to be tough Becky Lynch. Why is she out there with just all the other faces? She's supposed to be, she told John Cena to go screw himself basically when he was trying to be her homie. Why is she friends with all the other faces now?
I see what you mean. So there's a little inconsistency with her being a lone.
Yeah, she was kind of like the tough, and remember when all this really kicked off, it was she was talking shit to everybody, faces, heels. It was and now all of a sudden she's just pumped in the ring with everybody. Yeah. I was kind of confused. And it was the same thing with the New Day being all positivity out when they first came out.
Yeah, I mean, because you would think that they would walk to the ring in a somber attitude,
totally, absolutely.
And I mean, even Big E doing the why would he do that? That's if he's mad at the company and would want to leave, why would you perform at it's an everyday work? But I don't know.
I'm with you in that regard. Those are the minor details that sometimes bug me too, and it's partly what. And I know they're heels and blah, 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 but it's partly what bothered me with the tag team Gauntlet too, was they never really explained why these guys would want to win this match besides New Day. New Day had a reason to want to win this match. I didn't understand why all these other teams wouldn't want Kofi in the main event. It shows that they'll have a chance to be in the main event one day, like Rusev and Nakamura and all those guys. And I get it, they're heels, but like I was kind of like in my head, like there's really no motivation here.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that one, because to me, whenever Vince is involved, it doesn't matter what their motivations is.
It's like the boss telling them what
he's
to
like,
do.
you have to go beat these guys.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so then we had so Vince came out. Let's see.
The wah
thing happened.
Charlotte and Asuka, no?
So then he said he told Coke. So then Daniel Bryan is also there. Oh yeah. Also, one of the highlights of that promo is when Daniel said, like, they're not going to quit, and if they do quit, you just call three other guys up from NXT, and we'll call them. What did he say? Fresh afternoon.
Yes, fresh afternoon.
That was so funny. I was dying at that idea. When he said that, I was just like, oh my god, that was such a good line.
It's funny, Daniel is. I mean, he's not always hilarious, but I guess when he's more relaxed, he is, because I mean, when he was a GM, he really had to stretch really had to work his vocal muscles. I mean, that's all he had to do. And we got some funny stuff, but I mean, I think a lot of it was also like he was treading water. Like, he's like, oh, I really wish I could be wrestling right now. But now, I mean, that Daniel's getting everything we want. I mean, he's part of the most, in my opinion, and I've said this on Twitter, and I think it's true. I think it's the most important angle in wrestling right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just WrestleMania.
I think the women argue is also there. I think they're both really on par with each other. Like, to be honest with you, I'm pumped, and you're going too. It's one of the things I'm most excited about is both of those things. Like, I'm going to see Kofi Kingston probably win the world title, and I'm definitely going to see women main event WrestleMania. Like, that's pretty cool.
And you can argue the different, like, The Rock, Booker T, but this is the first time really that we're crowning not half, not mixed, fully African American champion at WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania, yeah.
If you could, I mean,
because Booker T is full black, and it's interesting.
But
the title he won, I feel like, is comparable to the title that Kofi Kingston's.
But winning. It was never. But the WWE title has always been the WWE title. It's like
but the Universal title is the number one title in the company right now. No.
Okay, but yeah, you can argue that it's the most popular. I mean, yeah, right now it is.
So it's similar to when Booker T won it,
but. Yes and no, because the WWE title still has its record and it still has its champions underneath it. And other than the
lineage,
the lineage and the past people who've won it, because they haven't erased it. It's not like it's a new name, it's a new title. No, it's the same title. And until they make it blue, which is what we've been hearing that they might. And but I that's a big deal to me, because that lineage, that belt specifically, the Austin, The Rock, Shawn Michaels. We're finally getting a like that.
Is that belt?
Yeah, it's the WWE Championship.
But isn't the Universal?
If you trace that history from that belt back.
Okay, all right.
The belt, yeah.
All right, all right. I see your point, but I think it's muddy because of the fact that it's not the number one title in the company.
I've just never you've never seen an African American with that belt before. You just haven't. Or of course you haven't seen many people with that belt. But
I get your sentiment. I understand what you're trying to say. No,
yeah,
I do think it's important. I absolutely do think it's important. Just like I think the women's main event is important. They're both important. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on was Becky Lynch interview, and Becky Lynch. She's talking about what Charlotte brought to the table and being like
the backstage
interview. She's like, I'm the Royal Rumble winner. Charlotte, or Ronda's the Raw Women's Champion. What is Charlotte really bringing to the table? And Charlotte's music hit. She comes out and she's going to show the crowd how deserving she is to be in this match. So then it comes back from break. Asuka makes her entrance. And then they randomly announce when she gets in the ring that it's a title match. Before we get into this match, let's talk about a few things there. One, they had already announced prior to the show that there was going to be a 4-way to determine who was going to wrestle Asuka for the women's title.
I didn't know that
at WrestleMania. Oh, you didn't know that?
If you had written it, I didn't. I forgot it.
Well, I actually didn't until last night because I don't usually write every single match announcement. But yeah, but after SmackDown, after SmackDown last week, they said it was going to be Mandy versus Sonya versus Carmella versus Naomi, and the winner was going to face Asuka at WrestleMania for the women's title.
Because I saw the poll that somebody, either you or somebody put up, like, who would you prefer to challenge Asuka? And I thought that was just based off of like the 4 people who were just like available.
No.
And I didn't know that they were actually planning on a 4-way.
No, it was fully like announced and everything. Like it was fully a thing until this happened. And also there was zero. I like that Charlotte won the title here, and we're going to discuss it, but I didn't like that there was zero explanation of where the match went that they announced, why it went away, and how Charlotte suddenly got a title shot.
And it seems like those 4 found out the same way we did.
Pretty much, because they all reacted on social media like, oh, okay, like, bummer, okay, well,
And this isn't a knock to anybody on the roster, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Please believe that. But it's just, 2-hour show, 3-hour show, you get your match cut, it sucks, but you understand. This is going to be like an 8-hour show, and you don't have a match on the card, you got to feel like shit.
Well, here's my thing. Okay, here's my question.
I'm not saying you should feel like shit. I would feel like shit. I'd be like, yo, there's all this time and you couldn't find something for me to do.
Well, they're going to be in the Battle Royal. They'll be in the Battle Royal, obviously. Here's my thing. Would you rather... Okay, so we'll get into it. Asuka, Charlotte, they wrestle. Charlotte wins. Charlotte's now the SmackDown
and this
champion.
Is the second time she's beat her this way.
Yes.
This is how she beat her at WrestleMania.
Yes. Okay, here's my thing. I feel like they weren't really building any. We're a week away from WrestleMania.
Oh, I agree. There was zero build.
There wasn't really anything being built up anyway. So in my opinion, it's like, would I prefer a meaningless Asuka match on the card just to get her on the card in a 4-way match that Mandy's probably going to win? Or do you strengthen your first women's main event by having both brands champions walk in and the scrappy underdog who's going up against them? I feel like it's a better visual in the long run when you go back and this WrestleMania is played in the history books as the first WrestleMania main event. You've got the Charlotte, the what WWE wants. You've got Ronda, what the average fan wants to see, and then you've got Becky, who's just like the wrestling fans, the number 1 pick, and I feel like coming in like that, champion and underdog, it's like such a good visual. I thought they should have gone in they should have had them both be champion all along, in my opinion, because it would have been a better build than the crutches and all the obstacles if they had just been like, look, we're the top 3 women in the industry and we're going to fight.
So is the title still just for the Raw Championship?
I believe so.
I mean, the visuals there, but it's kind of like, okay, but it's not on the line. It's...
Well, but okay. And I get that. But at
like
the end
a
of
new
the day,
hat,
let's
almost.
say Ronda is leaving, right? Ronda is taking a hiatus.
Yeah.
So then really there's no...
You're just really, and I'm not saying you're wrong for this, but you're really building towards that four.
That's not even what I was going to say. Not even that 4 horsemen curtain call, which I do think would be a good way to end the show. I mean, like the female version of Eddie and Chris Benoit. But what I was going to say is, to me, it's like if one of the people in that main event is leaving afterwards, you don't gain as much. And so now you're going to have 2 people that are in the match that are now going to be the cornerstones of Raw and SmackDown going forward for the next year. And I feel like, Charlotte doesn't get pinned in that match. If she makes Ronda tap out and she becomes a champion, you instantly have a match a year ahead of time built out that you could build towards the two women that are basically the 2 titans of the 2 show that main event of WrestleMania, that neither of them pinned the other in that match.
I don't know why it is, but this week more specifically than any other week, I had the feeling, it's not a huge feeling, it's a light speculation that neither Ronda or Becky wins, and because everybody thought last year was going to be Roman Reigns' like big coronation, and everybody expects this year to be Becky's big coronation. Something could happen. I don't know what. I mean, how crazy would it be if Ronda pulled a Brock and just like stayed on for a couple more months? Like
it wouldn't shock me at all.
It just only recently did that really like, it's not as sewn up as you would have thought.
I completely agree with you in that regard, but I think that there's been so many obstacles they throw in the way, like, and you're not going to get that kind of moment again. Yeah, they could, in theory, give it to Charlotte, but why would you rob the crowd of that moment? Like, similar to Chris Benoit and Eddie, like, everyone remembers that. It's such a thing that everyone looks back on so fondly, and I just, regardless of what happened afterwards with Chris Benoit, it's still a moment that everyone remembers in wrestling, and so I feel like, yes, the curtain call thing does just make the most sense to me. And I honestly think that picture, that moment, would have looked a lot less cool if there had been one person standing there without a title belt. And I do think that that's way more important at the end of the day than preserving Asuka's title reign that really hasn't been that stellar, not because of Asuka, but because of the booking. Mm-hmm. And also, at the end of the day, like, look at their prestigious things, but they're props to help people get over more. And now there's no one that can say like, oh, Charlotte doesn't deserve to be in the match. No, she's the other champion.
Yeah, and please don't think that I thought that I was holding out for a dope middle of the show Asuka match with whoever. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
if anything, if they did that fatal 4-way, it would probably end up very early in the show, if not on the pre-show.
100%.
And I was expecting that fully. It's just
you probably would have missed it anyways.
Yeah, probably. But it's just the concept, and I don't know. They've done this before, and then they brought him back up. I don't know where they're going with Asuka. It's kind of frustrating that taking the title offer. It kind of irritated me, but I was like, okay, I see the greater good for this. But I just really hope that it's the same thing with Bray, and I really hope that whenever he is brought back, that it's completely different.
He's looking clean.
I mean, he's got a new haircut, he's looking trim, and it's got to be for a reason.
Hopefully,
and
we keep saying that in terms of everything he's been doing, though, and it just turns into like he's just bored.
You got to think the day after WrestleMania is going to be something. You got to think.
I hope.
Anyway,
to answer your question about Asuka, though,
But to go off of what I was saying about Bray. There was a point where there was no return with Bray, which is kind of around the Randy Orton loss at WrestleMania, which is like, you can't, it's kind of beyond the point of no return, which is like he can't be taken seriously anymore. And I'm worried, I don't think it's happened yet, but it's close with Asuka.
Because it seems like they don't know what to do with her. I don't know if this would help either, but I'm also not going to pretend to be some kind of like Japanese wrestling historian, but I've seen all the pictures and gifs or whatever of Asuka back when she was Kana with all the like crazy clown looking makeup where she looks real scary looking.
Oh, when she got to be real, like when she was actually like
bad guy version. Yeah. That would be dope if they let her do something like that and kind of let her play off of that a little bit. I feel like that would be something that they could get sink their teeth into a little more.
I did think that, and I thought, the only way really out of this is a heel turn. Mm-hmm. Where else would you go with this?
She's never really been heel to my recollection in WWE.
No, she's just been Asuka and the Killer, the undefeated Asuka.
Yeah.
And they haven't really given her anything else other than that. And it's like I said, it's not too late for her. There's still a way to build her back up, but and I'm not trying to say that it's a wrap for Bray. He could totally come back and be something and reinvent himself, but it's in that current incarnation of follow the buzzards, the hat, the fedora, the lantern. I think that's run its course.
I would really like to see him come back just as a similar to Rowan, where it's like much more of just like a version of himself. I feel like Bray Wyatt himself is charismatic. I feel like, and it's similar enough to his character where he could blend the two a little bit. And I would like to see that. I feel like it would be something, and like a face run of some sort, like where almost like his Cactus Jack.
He's got the speed. He's got the look. I don't know what I mean. We've talked about this ad nauseum.
So back to the Charlotte thing, though. Do you people were big mad. People were big mad
that she won.
Asuka's buried. Charlotte didn't need it.
Well,
do you feel like a lot of that was misplaced?
Well, I think a lot of it was, Becky's tweet about it didn't help anything.
No, it did not.
It didn't help any.
Not at all.
Like Becky right now is the voice of the WWE universe right now. Yeah. And I'm not saying she's the sole voice, but she's a big one.
Yeah.
And right now, and so a lot of people, she's going to say what a lot of people are thinking, and also she's going to say shit that a lot of people are going to back. And one thing that she has constantly said about both things is that Ronda Rousey is scared and that everything she says is manufactured. That's one thing she keeps saying about Ronda, which is fine. But one thing she keeps saying about Charlotte is that she doesn't belong here, that she doesn't deserve to be here, that the only reason that she's here is because she's Ric Flair's daughter.
Yep. And
she says that repeatedly, like over and over again. And then you just get this, which doesn't help against that argument. And
yeah, that's my only issue is I wish they had explained it, because it doesn't help that.
No.
Like, if anything, to me, I'm like, okay, good. It's a good idea. Visually, everything makes sense. Get the curtain call at the end, blah, blah, blah. But yes, I will say, if you're looking to squash the shoehorn Charlotte thing, you should probably explain how she got shoehorned into this random title match when 4 other women had a title shot, had an opportunity ahead of her. But also, at the end of the day, when it is a writing thing, I do understand that, like, she's probably not going to get pinned or submitted in the match. She's going to go back to SmackDown still as champion, and now she has 5 opponents waiting in line.
Yeah,
She's got Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, Mandy, Sonya.
Yeah, but you got to understand that when the fans are looking at this as a bare bones viewing, she's been shoehorned twice now. With the WrestleMania match and then this title match randomly 2 weeks before WrestleMania.
Yeah, but I just when you say you
can't say that you can't say that she wasn't shoehorned at least once.
I get what you're saying, but at the end of I guess, like, and maybe this is my problem, is as much as I am suspending my disbelief when I'm watching a television program, like, I also know that it's still a television program. So, like, when I watch it, I'm thinking, like, oh, these are story beats they're trying to tell, or blah, blah. So I don't look at it as like they're trying to screw the fans by putting Charlotte in the match.
I don't think that's the way either. And I think people who say that it's going to be, the match is going to suffer for that because Charlotte's in, I don't believe that.
Not at all.
That's silly to think.
That's as silly as the person who told me that celebrities don't belong on WrestleMania cards. And I was like, they've all had celebrities
since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
That was the point. The point of the first one. It's the only way they sold it.
Yeah, I know. I was like so confused when that guy said that.
But I understand what people are saying. I don't think the match is going to suffer. If anything, it's going to be greater because there's so many different dancing partners in there, and also it's kind of going to benefit because as good as Ronda Rousey got and as quickly as she took to it, she hasn't really had to compete for like 25, 30 minutes yet.
No.
And
this is going to be a test.
Yeah. And Becky and Charlotte are going to be able to help her out.
And the first women's main event is a big deal. Like, you have to, if it doesn't live up to the expectation, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna make it really difficult to get back there. Really difficult to get back there, in my opinion. So
yeah, and it's gonna have to go at least 20 minutes, at least.
Oh, at least, right? You think I was
without entrances.
30.
Without entrances.
I've heard they're gonna have some dope. I've heard.
Well, the Joan Jett announcement is amazing.
Yeah, but I've heard like Charlotte's gonna have a dope entrance too. Like, she's gonna have a whole WrestleMania worthy entrance, Triple H style.
Just Tiesto remixing her theme song.
Okay, so moving on was AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle, or what was gonna be AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle. They fought for like 2 minutes, something like that.
It was only 2 minutes? I thought it was longer.
No, I'm looking here. It says the match ended in a no contest at 2:33.
It was an action-packed 2 minutes. There was a lot of shit that happened in that 2 minutes.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Tell us about it. You liked it? You're into it.
I'm not saying each look, and we've talked about this on the group chat with me and the other guys. I'm not. These matches haven't been amazing, and Kurt isn't really at the point of his life where he can do those matches. I mean, I was watching people uploading matches from his first initial run in TNA where he's running flips off of the stage onto like the floor, like against guys.
Against Abyss, yeah.
I mean, granted, he's probably on like 30 Vicodin at the time, but
Yeah.
but I mean, it's so crazy to see what he used to do. And when you see him move now, it's almost like a different person. But that's granted because his neck has been fused 400 times. And
I know, but that's my problem with it. Like, man, I love Kurt Angle so much. So it pains me to see him do an angle slam that looks rough. Like I was worried for him while he was doing it. Like it was real rough. And I almost think they saw how rough that Samoa Joe match looked on Monday. As much as they tried to get through it, as much as Joe carried him, it was tough. And so I think that's why they made this match so short. It kept it really mat based with submissions and all that kind of stuff to kind of slow it down before Randy came in.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, right now he's done. He should stop. And he's had an incredible career. Probably unparalleled. I don't think anybody for a long time is going to have this career that he had, including his extracurricular stuff as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's time to hang it up. And the reason why I'm enjoying it is because I'm not. Of course, it would be so much better if they could deliver. Of course, but. Kurt has given so much to the world of professional wrestling. And if they're going to give him this, originally he was going to retire and that was going to be it on TNA and we wouldn't have seen him again. But this way we're getting a lot of the guys that he worked with at TNA and they're going to have these one-offs and then he's going to finish. I'd like to think not against Baron Corbin because the way they've been talking about it and the way they've been like acknowledging that people are pissed about it, you got to think John's going to come out and do.
Especially since there's no mention of John either now. They kind of were like talking about him on SmackDown, but it went away around the
he's
US
on
title.
all the promotional stuff. He's on some internet things. He's on some.
My guess is that I'm hoping that he beats Baron Corbin quickly. And then Cena's like, you really want to, comes out in yellow pants and is like, you really want to go out like that? Or you want to go out?
You think he's going to come out in yellow pants?
Dude, if he comes out in the yellow pants, people would, come on.
I mean, I don't get why, but.
Because it'd be like the throwback. Isn't that what he was wearing when he came out in that? When he answered the challenge?
Yeah, but then I don't know. I don't think it's necessary,
dude. Have him in the yellow pants. Come on, dude. You got to do full circle with it.
I mean, I don't think if I were to have him do it, I don't think the Baron Corbin match would even start. I just think like Baron Corbin would come out, Cena just gives him an AA off the stage before he even walks down to the ring.
And says that's like ruthless aggression or something like that. And then you got to throw that line in. It's got to be used in some way.
I agree too. The ruthless aggression line needs to be used. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I just don't think the match with Baron even starts. I think he comes out, people are booed. Like there's a whole tease that the match is about to start. Cena's music hits.
Gina.
That's George Cena.
John Gina.
And then that's what happens.
I hope that's what happens too. At this point.
And you know what? The reason why, again, I'm going back to why I'm saying I don't hate it as much as you would because I know what it is. I'm not expecting greatness out of it.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just hard to watch.
It is a little difficult to watch at some points. Yes, you want to see Kurt doing the moonsault. You want to see him being able to move a little faster,
doing woo.
He doesn't even do that anymore.
No.
And I mean, this way. I mean, think about it. We're finally. I guess we got it at the when he was with Ronda Rousey, but we're getting the full Kurt Angle entrance. But I mean, for a singles,
we're finally gonna get it. Though.
Yeah,
we're gonna get a full pyro.
Yeah,
they're gonna let him go out. He has to go out with the
Yeah, he has to. He has to. And Cena, if they do pull the trigger, whether it be with Corbin, whether it be with Cena, it's not going to be a barn burner. It's not. It'll probably be The segment will probably be 20 minutes max.
It'll be similar to Undertaker's match last year.
There'll probably be some like 5 to 8 minutes of gaga, like nonsense, and then the match will start, and then it'll be over.
All right, well, let's move topics here. Let's move to face Miz. Miz opened his promo saying that Shane lit a fire in him that he didn't even know existed. He wants to rip him limb by limb. He said that Shane brought emotion out of him that he had never experienced in his 13-year career. Which is crazy that Miz has had a 13-year career at this point and not slowing down anytime soon. That's
the credit. I mean, it's what he said on that one Talking Smack. It's the way he works.
Yep. So then he cuts a promo. Then he continues promo, and then he challenges Shane to a Falls Count Anywhere match. I felt like this match didn't necessarily. Well, yes and no. Shane obviously works better in a hardcore setting, so I get it for that reason. This allows Shane to jump off of something very high somewhere, and win. But I kind of felt like I liked that there wasn't going to be a lot of hardcore matches because then I felt like the Batista Triple H match would feel more special because it was going to be the only one on the card. But also, it's an 8-hour show, so if they split them up early on, one's early, one's later, Batista later, I'm sure it won't be that big of a deal.
I'm a little. There's something that kind of jabs me in the wrong way about the Miz and Shane's feud. And again, I guess maybe the whole initial turn, which everybody thought was going to be Miz, but then it ended up being Shane. With Miz, if he had turned, you kind of don't really need a reason. He's the Miz. He's done it 5 times already to his past partners. I needed a little more reason with Shane. Because it's been years since he's been a heel. Almost a decade, and the whole thing that I just got tired of him riding my coat. Like, it's not enough for me. It really wasn't. And these past segments, I beat up your dad, so that's why. That's mostly the reason.
Or, I have sanity and the cologne's protecting me. That's not gonna
not even both of them. One cologne. There was one cologne.
No, I'm so with you. I was saying the same thing last week, actually, on the other side of it. I was saying that, and I agree with you on the Shane side of things, but also for me with the Miz, on the exact other side of it, there's been nothing that Miz has done to make me feel like he's shown an act of heroism or done anything really for me to want to cheer him, knowing his history and even knowing how the whole feud played out. He was the annoying one in that whole feud. So I didn't really understand. I didn't feel like there's been enough done to make me cheer for Miz or to boo for Shane. I feel like it's kind of all together there.
Yeah, it is really weird.
And also this has been going for 8 months now too.
Yeah. Again, maybe the wrong guy turned heel. Would this match have suffered as much if the roles were reversed? I don't think so. I especially with how muddy the rules are right now. It's just literally when Shane, the day after Shane turned on him at Fastlane and then came out and talked and said why, I was like, this is very generic. This is what a lot of people said. It's why Cass turned on Enzo. It's why Mojo turned on Zack Ryder. It's when we don't have a good reason, it's I got tired of carrying the weight. It's
your mother made a mistake, by getting impregnated or whatever. It's very boilerplate. It's very okay, we get it. I honestly, I was saying to Roku last week, I think the only reason they turned Miz face was to see if Miz and Mrs. will get better ratings if Miz is a good guy.
Yeah.
More people will want to watch while he's a good guy, though.
Which makes sense.
That's my guess in all of this. So yeah, you didn't really enjoy this segment either, right?
No, I don't. They're not giving me a reason to care yet.
I'm completely with you there. Okay, so then we got into the Gauntlet match. We got Woods and Big E starting off the match against Gallows and Anderson. Mm-hmm. And this part just man, if there's any confirmation, in my opinion, that the reports about Gallows and Anderson are true, it was this.
Let me put it this way. The 30-second skip on Apple TVs? I was skipping through the commercials, and it was the last commercial, and I pressed 30-second skip, and maybe once or twice too many times. But the match,
which one tends to do.
But they had already been pinned.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
I had to rewind it. I was like, wait, what?
You're not wrong. It says here in this ProWrestling.net write-up, New Day defeated Gallows and Anderson at 55 seconds. 55 seconds. This match had so much time. So much time. What? Like, I couldn't believe it. It boggled my mind the way they have just completely botched everything related to Gallows and Anderson. Gallows is so huge. He's well liked backstage. What did he do to Vince? Did he like shit in Vince's cereal or something?
It's something about any of the tag teams that want to be better. But if you're a tag team and you speak up in that company, you're it's a bad sign for you. It's a bad omen.
But they're like really good soldiers. It's always seemed like
Yeah, I mean, they've never really. I mean, as opposed to. And when I say they speak up, it's not like they've been complaining about their spot consistently. I mean, if anything, in the past year, like a year ago, they were saying, yeah, we're not getting booked all that well, but our paychecks are still.
Yeah. Look how many shirts we're selling. We don't care.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
They were flat out said that last year. I mean, crazy how much a year changes in a year. But
they don't even really say that much on
not
social media
really,
now. They're
no.
pretty positive, and Gallows doesn't say shit.
No, but it's. I mean, if you want to compare them between the issue, I mean, the two tag teams right now that seem to be unhappiest in the WWE are the Revival and Gallows and Anderson, and it's just two people that you could do a lot with. Like it's almost like. It's like, okay, we need something. We need bodies to look strong right now. We have these guys. Ow. No, it's
like Gallows is a very tall man. Carl Anderson is shredded. Like this was Woods started hot and hit a drop kick. Woods made quick work of Anderson, and Big E cleared Gallows. They hit the up, down, down for a quick victory.
So they didn't even get any offensive in.
No, and it's like. I really don't get it. I don't get it. I think that they're such a talented team. They're over. There's some people like. If you don't like them as a tag team, split them up.
I mean, they were really. It's so interesting to me that they were really riding off of the success of the Bullet Club with Finn and AJ, like referencing it without referencing it, letting them do the hand signals, letting them kind of say we were part of a group in Japan.
Have the moment with DX
but
the Raw, whatever.
But every step of the way, every time they've acknowledged that, except for like whenever, like for the short cups of coffee, when they team them up with Finn or AJ exclusively just for like a week, they always leave them out. Like it would have made sense if during that DX segment on Raw 25, if Gallows and Anderson had been there.
Yeah.
If all four of them had been there, it would have made sense. AJ, Finn, and them. I mean,
Wait, they weren't they?
I don't know. I think
they were all there.
Finn and AJ.
Wasn't AJ there too for that?
I don't think AJ was there.
Was it just Finn and
I think
Gallows
it was just
and
Finn,
Anderson?
Gallows and Anderson.
I'd have to go back and look. I thought they were. Whatever. Yeah.
But it's not really. Yeah, I mean, they were the club for a while.
But no, they never went all in on it. It was weird. It was ridiculous.
And you would think that, okay, these guys are already over in a pocket that we're kind of suffering in right now, which is the deep divers. So let's, And
I realized that Dean Ambrose is a former WWE champion and a bigger part of the company, but the way they've treated the club on their way out, seemingly, is why I don't believe that Dean Ambrose is actually on the way out, because they're not doing that to him. They're featuring him prominently.
He's losing, but
he's still being featured prominently.
Main events and
main
stuff.
events. I feel like there's something going on here still. I'm glad I wasn't just me that felt the way. 'Cause I literally was just like. I'm much like you. I was looking at my phone, and I was like, and then I looked up, and it was done. And I was just sitting there like, are you kidding me? You took them off the road, and then you brought them to SmackDown for 55 seconds to put them in there. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So they haven't even been doing house shows anymore?
I don't think so.
Damn, that was their bread and butter.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing house shows anymore.
They were crushing house shows.
Yeah, they were the house show killers, dude. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay,
All
so
right,
then
so
next,
that happened.
Then next was New Day versus Nakamura and Rusev. This one went much longer. This one was about 9 minutes and go back and forth. Nothing like nothing like amazing or anything like that here, but it was entertaining. I felt like
it was like one of those regular. it had the pacing of one of those standard like
pre-show tag team
yeah, like
matches.
when like a guy and his buddy come out and be like, oh, there's two guys we don't like. Let's team up and then we'll fight at the end.
100% how it felt. So yeah, and I just felt like this at least showcased Rusev and Nakamura much better than the match before. Like,
I think if done, and this is the thing, I say if, and just seeing how it's being played out, I don't see them doing it. Nakamura and Rusev could be a monster tag team if they were given attention, but just based off what we know about WWE's odd relationship with Rusev and Lana, it doesn't seem like they're going to get that much attention on it.
well, it's weird because you say that, and honestly, I just think that you say that we all say that every time Rusev's in a tag team, and the bottom line ends up being like Rusev could just be a monster act if they dedicated time to him. I think Nakamura's already good, but I really feel like Rusev has everything they want. He's huge. He's funny. He's entertaining. He's a great wrestler. He's got a good look. He's literally got everything that you would want of a WWE star. He's like the cutout of a WWE star. I just don't get why they don't showcase him better alone. And I'm not complaining about this because I realize there's only so much room on the card.
Yeah, and this point, the story was to tell about Kofi.
Yes, this was all about Kofi and all about New Day. I'm not complaining in this instance. I'm just saying as an overall thing, I feel like Rusev, if they dedicated some time as well.
You know what also surprised me? And I guess maybe it's just because of the pacing of the show. There was no Kevin Owens this week.
No, there was. He was part of the ringside crew of people who were cheering for Kofi.
Then, I mean,
it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how quickly they showed him. It was like he was part of that random people who cheered ringside.
yeah, we're not really going to get much of Kevin Owens until after WrestleMania, I think.
I get it, but I get them coming to cheer ringside, but I also feel like there should be protecting characters in a little bit. So like that's why like it bothered me with Becky. It bothered me having Kevin ringside, regardless if he's me a face now. And for some reason, it bothered me having Aleister Black there. Aleister Black should be like in a coffin somewhere. Like you wouldn't have seen Undertaker walk out in that moment and like cheer for the random guy winning a match.
I'm kind of confused on how I want them to go forward with Aleister. Because I genuinely think him more than anybody else. Everybody thought it was going to be Bray, but they shit the bed with that one. That he could not again. I don't know if he would reach the level that Undertaker has, but he's the next step in that whole section supernatural.
He fills that part of the card,
and I think they need to go a little more into that world.
Me too.
They kind of don't really like. They don't give him any when they don't like. I would give him. Like, you know how whenever Kane used to do a promo, it was a Kane promo. Everything was red, or the Stardust promo. Like they had the electric static thing that and there was stuff around.
Yep.
I think they need to give Aleister promos. Like Mankind had the Boiler Room.
Well, when he was in NXT, when he first debuted in NXT, they had those really cool vignettes they did where he was like saying deep stuff. It was very similar to when Bray Wyatt debuted in WWE, where they had these like cool looking vignettes that he was talking over. Like that would be awesome if he did those again.
Yeah, and as much as great and as much as people really liking Aleister and Ricochet together, I would have preferred Aleister to be introduced another way, because to me, Aleister's not a tag guy. He never has been to me.
I think that I enjoy what they're.
I'm enjoying the matches.
I'm enjoying the matches.
Yes.
But I do feel like in the long term, you are doing a disservice to the Aleister Black character a little bit by not making him this lone
and special,
dark character. Instead, he's like already friends with someone. And to me, I feel like that does kind of go against what you take from that character.
And how much longer do they introduce them as NXT guys? I don't understand.
I think they're just waiting until shake up so they can officially have another brand. Okay, so then we got the New Day versus the Bar. Also good. I mean, I didn't realize that was. I said 9 minutes and 16. That's wrong. It was total gauntlet time was 9:16. So it was just like a 5
for the whole
minutes.
batch?
So then we got like 10 more minutes or so. Like 12 more minutes with the bar. Good stuff. Honestly, they all have such good chemistry. You're not really going to usually see a bad match from the bar. And New
they
Day.
always deliver.
So that was good. Go back. There we go. And then the biggest moment of the match was the Usos coming out. The Usos come down to the ring. And like I had said in the beginning, when I was watching this, I get it. They're all bad guys. But like Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, for example, what motivation did they have to win this match? I know you said it was Vince, so I get it. But in my head, I was thinking, like, well, wouldn't they want Kofi to win? Like, they would want the person being held down to get an opportunity because they're all these held down guys. So it was bothering me the whole time. So I did like when the Usos came out and they played off of the long rivalry they've had with New Day, where it basically said, we're not doing it. We respect Kofi. You win this match.
I was expecting them to do this. I saw it coming.
I was hoping someone was going to do this.
I knew it was going to happen.
That's why I didn't tweet frustrated about the lack of motivation.
Oh no! As soon as the Usos come out and I saw that it was taking a minute for Big E to get up, I was like, oh, they're gonna forfeit. Or I was kind of hoping that because they were kind of like, get his ass up, because they were kind of treating like, okay, let's fucking go. It doesn't matter. This is
after
competition.
The table spot,
they're like, this is competition. But I was kind of hoping that Big E was going to get up and then either Jimmy or Jay just take a quick bump, just that back pump, and then Big E just covers
like the finger poke of doom status.
A little like that. Yeah. I was kind of hoping for that because
people get so mad about the finger poke of doom, like it has such a connotation to it. Because I agree with you,
it's a different scenario.
100% agree, but I think that because the finger poke of doom has such a negative connotation to it, that it instantly will make people like,
yes,
it'll bring that.
There is
that
the reference.
Sight. Yeah,
yes,
I think the forfeit is a better way of getting to that because it's like we're laying our sword down to you, good sir.
Yeah, I mean it served its purpose either way, but I think just the whole pop would have been bigger if they really thought that oh my God, these guys are cutthroat, like they're ruthless, like they won't let them get up, and then just does a quick, just snap
like
that bump.
They pull like a Edward Norton in Fight Club where they just like,
I don't know. I just think the reaction would have been bigger. I don't know.
But it was good. But you liked it regardless, right?
Yeah, it was the right decision. Definitely, it was the right call.
Okay, well then Daniel Bryan and Rowan come out. Then we've got New Day versus Rowan and Bryan.
I have one complaint about this,
okay,
and I think you might know what it is.
Tell me.
Is they gotta stop pretending the announce desk is 5,000 pounds. They gotta stop.
I did think it was a little ridiculous when
this
it was
is the
like
second time they've done this.
How strong Big E is for lifting up the table, and I'm thinking in my head like, there's some heavy ass tables in my office that I could like at least tip over.
Yeah, and you
like,
see how easy it is that it breaks.
Yeah.
That it's.
I didn't even. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think about that aspect, that you see how easily it crumbles when someone falls through it.
It falls when people aren't even doing a move, like when Triple H and Kurt Angle just fell like before the pedigree just happened. And it's the second time, and in the first time I saw it happen, it drove me nuts. I forget who. I know it involved Brock or Braun, and then they got trapped under the. I
think it was Braun.
It was something like that.
It was one of the two of them. Yeah, I remember talking about.
It can't be that heavy. It can't.
You would know. You've actually been ringside. Is it not?
It's not. And the best is.
I mean, especially when you take everything off of it.
And Rowan, when it was slowly coming down. No, like Austin Powers in the steam roller. Like it was like, oh, it's like, move, dude. You got up to you because he was facing the other way.
Yeah,
and he kind of did a butt spin to lay in the other way because he goes back this way, but he's like, oh wait, I'm not the right way. And it's not heavy. It's not.
Especially to like such a big guy.
Yeah. Rowan and or Braun like could probably get out if they needed to.
Yeah, no, I can understand your gripe with that one for sure.
It's not a heavy thing. It's
also the count out victory is a little anticlimactic too, especially like you could pin Rowan.
Yeah,
Rowan could take the pin.
That would I don't know why they needed to count out Rowan unless they're trying to build him up again to be this monster. I don't.
Maybe that's why. I guess that's the only. That's a valid.
Maybe, but I mean, you would think what's different now than all the other times when you've tried to do this.
That's also a good point. Although when he was last in the Bludgeon Brothers, they did make the Bludgeon Brothers look very strong. It was just the injury that took him out.
It was, and again, I always laugh when I was at SummerSlam last year, and I just see the one person with that Bludgeon Brothers T-shirt. It was wild. I mean, the Bludgeon Brothers were such an good idea on paper, a great idea on paper, but.
The Bludgeon Brothers very much remind me of NXT, where they had Bull Dempsey doing a Kevin Owens knockoff gimmick, it felt like, and then they signed Kevin Owens, and it was like, well, we don't really need to have Bull Dempsey
when he was carrying the chain and stuff.
And he was like the last of a dying breed or whatever, and it felt very Kevin Owens-ish. It was like it felt very Kevin Owens-y, and then Kevin Owens came in, who was like the actual person he was trying to kind of like be like, and it was very not needed. And
so who are you comparing them to?
War Raiders. It was like they made Bludgeon Brothers very War Raiders, like where that wasn't their name before, War Machine, but there was like they were doing the hammer and the very Viking-esque look. And then all of a sudden Bludgeon Brothers came around and they had the exact same look.
That's why I thought Bludgeon Brothers were so weird, because I wasn't sure what they were. Because they had the hammers, which you see the big hammers, you think Norse mythology, which is Vikings. But then you see how they come out, and they come out with the headdresses and the steampunk sheep mask. And you're like, but then what's that? And I think that was not the only issue with the Bludgeon Brothers. I think they didn't have an identity. I just don't think you could describe them. Like, what are they? Guys that carry big hammers.
That was all Vince, though. Vince took he was hands-on from what I had heard with the Bludgeon Brothers, and it was like he wanted this, and then it was like, well, I hate that, and then it was like, do this, well, I hate that, and it was very much he couldn't make up his mind, as you hear he tends to do, and that's kind of what it all stemmed around.
And who knows what's going on with Luke Harper right now?
I know. I hope he's part of the shakeup as well. So then New Day win. Kofi comes out. They get all happy. Everyone surrounds the ring. Positivity, power, positivity work. They show Vince. Vince says Kofi's going to WrestleMania. But Vince's admission that Kofi's going to WrestleMania did feel a little anticlimactic. It was very much like hey, what did you say about that? And it was like, well, okay, yeah, he's going to WrestleMania. But can he win? I don't know. Got in the car and then left. Right? Was that just me?
I didn't see it like that. I mean, it didn't stand out to me. I'm not saying you're wrong. I thought it was just kind of like, because I think it's maybe playing off that Vince maybe never was fully against them. Maybe he did fully believe that Kofi was going to do it all along. I don't know. It doesn't really matter at this point. But this is something that I always just thought was funny watching it. And when Kofi comes out after they win, and at first he starts hugging them. And then he gets in the center and says, I did it. And he's like, yes. Yeah, it's kind of, I understand that, yes, the whole point was to make sure he got there, but it's just kind of funny, like he didn't do anything. And then he just comes out and be like, I can't believe it. I get it. It makes sense, but it's just a funny thing to think about.
I heard it's from that moment, it's less to set up a future heel turn for one of them, and more so the point of what all of this was about kinda was they at the end of the day didn't want to necessarily put one over the rest of the group, creative, and it was a way of well, Kofi didn't do it by himself. He had to do it with New Day.
Oh no,
New Day. And I think
I get it. It makes 100% sense. I get it.
But I almost wonder if they're doing that now and had New Day play a part in him earning the shot for real, to maybe do the Freebird rule with the WWE title after WrestleMania. That he goes, we're all champion, and and then they all can be champion, and then Kofi gets his moment, but we have the first person who's ever like, I'm not the only world champion. All three of us are the world champion. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think that'd be a really, really, really big change.
Obviously.
Because then that could apply to any team that wins the titles.
But you don't really have teams win world titles a lot.
No, but I mean, it's not to say that it won't happen again. Like that somebody from a team will go on and challenge and win. You know, it's happened in DX. It's happened in the NWO.
You're digging way back, though. It's been a long time since that. I guess the Undisputed Era is like someone who's around that you can maybe say, well, then what if they come up there all champion?
Yeah.
Do you not like that idea? I don't know if it's a thing that's happening.
I don't like it because
came to my mind.
I don't like it because it makes more sense with a tag team, because especially if it's three people, which it was the case with the Freebirds and then with the New Day, because then you get because they're a tag team. You know, they're still a tag team, even though one of them is always on the outside. They're still competing as a tag team. One could be an alternate just in case one is hurt or like can't compete that night. With the singles title, it was always a one-person thing. You know, You're not sharing it. You're sharing a tag title with somebody, and I just don't think there's a point. I'm not saying that it won't happen. Now that you mention it, there seems like, I mean, who knows?
It seems possible though once I say that, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they need it. I think it opens up a Pandora's box that won't be easy to close.
Fair enough. All right, well, we are done here, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you thought about all this. What do you think about Asuka dropping the title? Charlotte getting her, I think it's 8th title reign now. Kofi finally going to WrestleMania. I want to know what you guys think about all of it. Hit up the comments below. Tell me what you think. I want to read it. I read all of them. I appreciate all of them, even the ones that are saying mean things about me. I check them all out. So make sure you go down there and make sure you fire off about all these different things. And also, while you're here, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the video if you enjoyed it. Don't dislike the video because that's just rude. But yeah, if you like it, please share it. Please subscribe. Please do all that stuff. Also, if you're already on YouTube, youtube.com/c/wrestling sheet, but you want to listen to the audio while you're working out or driving or cooking or making love, then make sure you subscribe on all the audio feeds as well. It's Wrestling Sheet Radio on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, all the major podcast platforms. And make sure you check out ProWrestlingSheet.com daily for all the top stories of the week. Jamie, where can people find you at?
You and Erica don't listen to past episodes during
while we're making love?
Yeah, okay. I hope not. Anyway.
No, I just like to put that out in the universe because I hope someone else likes to listen to me during that.
You can find me on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE or on Instagram at JAMIEIOVINE, or every other Sunday at the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood tapings, where I manage the current television champion Royce Isaacs, the current tag team champions Double Platinum, and my newest signee Heather Monroe. Or tune into the network, the shopping network that I run, that I've developed with my buds. That's new exclusive drops. We have a pretty heavy April coming up, so if you want to get some exclusive dope products that you can't get anywhere else from people like Antonio Brown, Family Guy, Game of Thrones, tune in. This is going to be a heavy April. NTWRK.
Game of Thrones? Mm-hmm. Ooh, I gotta get
for girls,
that.
though.
Ah, damn. Yeah, I threw in the making love thing to make sure you were still paying attention.
Well, I guess, I mean, I don't want to put it just for girls. I mean, anybody can do makeup, I suppose.
Good point. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.
ProWrestlingSheet.com